Hello. Hi, guys. Can you hear me? Hmm. Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me?
As I make my way upstairs,
Hello.
I'm open to any type of paranormal experience that could happen in this old brothel, as long as it results in solid evidence. I want you to tell me the same thing that you told me downstairs on the other device. I'm here for you. I'll give you this money.
Can you guys hear me?
This spirit box session, I'm excited to chat your
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You can hear me.
my feelings are
Yeah.
Okay. And Samsung. I know that's not your name, but that's what it says.
You doing live chat?
Can you hear me?
as we have decided to save the most negative energy for last, now make our way down into the massive network of basement tunnels. I decide to split off from Jay and Aaron to investigate the opium dens by myself, while Jay reluctantly volunteers to climb into the crawl space where this evil entity is said to reside. Somewhere in here.
Give me a second.
And I think this entity is residing.
I think everyone talks about the basement. Hey, holler for me to help you down, okay? Good job. Be careful, dude.
Boy, the month right here. Going into a crawl space in a basement that's
Yeah, I know there's a lot of spirits that live down here.
here.
A lot of people don't like this area.
Hold on.
Anybody down here? Somebody in here?
I keep hearing footsteps.
Trying to figure it out. It was much easier the other day.
As our investigation of the
Screen that I can
house
see.
continues, separated inside the basement, as we search for the
Well, while I think this through,
delicious.
is there anything specific that you guys are having some questions about? Or some, am I yelling? I'm probably yelling. Am I yelling? Anything that you guys have any questions about or something that, you know, you need some further explanation about? Nothing that you can think of. I have everybody off of mute, so hopefully the only person I have not heard is the young lady with the red shirt on, but I can hear Beth. Anything specific that you guys want to work on? Did you get to work on? No.
No.
Scratching.
So in the last video, so let me just tell you a couple of things that I did tell the last group of people who were on last week. When you're doing these credits and debits and all of this stuff, one of the key things to know is that credits and debits in the banking world and credits and debits in accounting is completely different. So don't allow that to confuse
I'm
you
up here on this level.
on the problems.
The guys are all down in the basement. Jay's.
I went over an example last week, last week on
Or I don't know what.
uh,
Done somewhere near the
background.
and I keep hearing footsteps again in the saloon, right where we heard them earlier.
I don't know if that's the TV.
These footsteps sound like
We went over
crazy.
how to tell the difference between credits and debits, and
Billy sets out several REM plots to see if
what different T accounts will impact the trial balance a certain way. So I gave them an example of there are 6 main categories in accounting that you're gonna put all of your transactions into. I split them in 3. So I have the 3 that I call DEA. So that's the drawing and the expenses. And you just want to remember that all the assets or all the items that the companies own, they're not necessarily used yet in the production of revenue, but we own these things. So the accounts receivable account is the value of money that people owe us. We have cash, which is the dollar value of
as I begin reviewing this,
cash that we have in our bank account.
very loud,
We have
threatening
supplies.
my very first question.
We have like building equipment. We have computer equipment. And then we have our expenses. Then we have like our building equipment. Okay, then we have our expenses. Our expenses is going to be supply expense or insurance expense or something like that. And then we have our drawing, which is the dollar amount that the investment took out of the business. So the reason why I group those 3 in their own category is to specify that I'm getting a piece of paper so right on. Is to specify that those 3 accounts, when it comes to the T table,
It feels like something tiny now. Just come out at me. It feels like it's behind me. These doors back. I don't know if you noticed, but my last name is
so it looks like these 3. Is that backwards for you guys?
No.
Okay, so these 3 accounts,
I don't know if that name Kirkland sounds familiar, but the person who used to own this place is taking
these 3 accounts, when you create your T table, are all plus minus, and plus minus. Okay, the debit is always going to be the left-hand side. Yes. And the credit is always going to be on the right-hand side. Okay, so it doesn't matter whether it's the liability, capital account, a regular account. It's always going to be debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. These 3 accounts are always going to be plus minus, meaning that the debit side is the increase side, the debit side is the increase side, the debit side is the increase side, and the credit side is the decrease side.
Stressed and begins panicking loudly to the point that Aaron can even hear him.
So this is what I use to remember them. So DEA is this drawing expenses and assets, and clear, like the cleaner solution, is capital expenses. I'm sorry, capital liabilities and revenue.
Our investigation of the Palace Saloon.
The things to remember on these is that
SJ is
it's always debit, credit, debit, credit, debit, credit. The same as these 2. So these are your 6 categories that you're going to have. Everything in accounting is going to fit in one of these 6 categories. Okay? So with clear, CLR, you have minus plus, minus plus, minus plus, instead of plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. meaning that the interest on account is going to be a credit and not a debit. That makes sense? So when you are doing these transactions, I go through each one of the steps to tell myself how to create. I always tell my teachers, even after 20 years in accounting, okay, it ain't been that long. I'm not that old. Maybe like 16 years. So after my 16 years in accounting, I still create T-tables. Okay? So when we have a transaction, and let's say something like the owner of the business invested $20,000 into the business, the key thing is to recognize at all times what accounts are going to be impacted. So if they invested cash into the business of $20,000, you have to be able to recognize that your two T-tables being utilized is cash. Okay? So as long as you know that your two T-tables is cash and capital, it makes it easier to create your journal entry, but always start with your T-table. So if I have a transaction that says the owner is investing $20,000 into the business, the main thing that I want to ask myself is what's happening to that bucket and how do I want it to change? So if the business didn't exist at all beforehand and it exists now, my cash balance was previously 0. Okay? And I want my cash balance to now show. Okay, I think they did it. Okay. So if I want my cash balance to now show a dollar amount, I have to increase it. And you probably already know this stuff, but I'm just going to still go over it just so that we make sure that we know how to do the quiz for it. I'm going to put the quiz up there tonight after I do this tutorial. So my cash balance. So I'm going to create my T-table for cash. I already know that my debit, I always write my debit credit because it just helps me to remember that my debit is always on the left-hand side and my credit is always on the right-hand side. In accounting, debit just means left-hand side of the T-table. Credit just means right-hand side of the T-table. It doesn't mean plus, minus, increase, decrease, none of that. It literally only means left-hand side of my T-table for debit or right-hand side of my T-table for credit. And if you put in your mind that it has anything to do with our real understanding of debit and credit, it will cause you confusion because it'll make you increase or decrease an account that shouldn't be increased or decreased. The only way you know how to increase or decrease account is based on those plus minuses. Plus minus, or minus plus, minus plus. So in the example that I just gave you, if we're going to do cash, cash is an asset, wherever the asset is. Cash is an asset. All assets are plus minus. So I'm going to change, I'm going to make my cash a plus minus account. And in that first transaction, I want to increase my inventory, but I want to invest $20,000 into the business. I'm going to increase my cash from 0 to 20,000. I know that my other account that I'm going to impact is going to be capital. Capital is, I got 6 different accounts. So I have DEA, drawing expenses and assets, and I have capital liabilities and revenues. My capital account is a minus plus. So I'm going to make this a minus plus. Remembering that debit is always on the left-hand side, credit is always on the right-hand side. Do I want to increase? You could just do this or this, since I can't hear you. Do I want to increase or decrease my capital account?
Decrease.
What was my capital account before? It was 0. So before we did this, before the guy or girl invested into this business, there was no investment into the company, right? And since there was no money in the company at all at first, my beginning balance is going to be 0. What do I want my balance to be?
Oh, plus 20,000.
I wanted to be plus 20,000. Tanya, I can't hear you, but I read your lips. You're right. I wanted to be 20,000. So since I want the account to be 20,000, I'm going to put the 20,000 on this side. This credit is going to throw you off. So don't think I need to plug in my computer. Hold on.
$20.
Or you got 10 minutes, Buggy. What?
Don't think that this credit here means anything other than right-hand side of that tea table. And it means that for some other reason, some reason that's not clearly understandable at this current moment. But later down the line, you kind of start understanding the reason why the credit is on this side and the debit is on this side, okay? So since we want to increase this capital account to $20,000, I'm going to put an increase of 20,000 on this side, okay? Oh, your name is Tanya. Tanya, I talked to you before. Okay, so the key thing on every transaction that you have is to make sure your debits equal your credits. So my debit is 20,000, my credit is 20,000. So I know my transaction is balanced. By having my debit equal my credit at all times, it keeps our formula accurate. So, you know, our formula is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. So 20,000 is that asset, 20,000 is that owner's equity. So 20,000 equals 0 plus 20,000. And my formula is still in balance. That's the key thing about those debits and those credits, because if those are ever not matching, your formula will be messed up. So usually the next transaction after investment is we buy some supplies, right? So we're gonna spend $2,000 on supplies. So if I'm gonna spend $2 on supplies, I'm gonna use cash in this transaction. I need to be able to recognize what accounts are impacted. That is the biggest and most difficult thing to do, is really to recognize the transactions or the accounts impacted, because that does take accounting knowledge. Some of the other stuff, you just have to do what you're supposed to do, period. But coming up with the different accounts that impact the transaction is probably the more difficult portion. So if I'm going to purchase some supplies on cash, I need to be able to recognize that the accounts that I'm impacting is going to be supplies and cash. Okay? Now, nope, sorry, this side. So the next thing that I'm always going to do is always put my debit, credit, because that never changes. Debit, credit, debit, credit. And then after that, I'm going to put my plus minuses on my minus pluses. So with supplies and cash, cash is an asset, right? Supplies is also an asset. Don't let this regular supplies confuse you with supplies expense, because supplies expense is an expense. Regular supplies is just an asset. So since supplies is an asset and cash is an asset, that means they're both going to look like this one. So they're both going to be plus minuses. Remember, I got 3 that are plus minuses and 3 that are minus pluses. DEA is my plus minuses. Drawing, expenses, and assets. DEA and assets. All right, so if I'm going to purchase supplies of $2,000, what happens with my cash account? Will it go up or will it go down?
So can you say that again?
What if I want to buy supplies of $2,000? What happens to my cash account? Will it go up or will it go down?
Down.
It's gonna go down because before, let's pretend I had zero, even though I really have this, right? I really got $20,000 in there. Well, let's
Right.
keep it with that. So we got $20,000. Is that a two? Yeah. So we have $20,000 in there. I'm gonna spend $2,000 of cash. Okay, ignore that last one. I'm gonna keep it going on the same tea table. So we had this $20,000 in cash. I'm gonna spend $2,000 of it for my supplies. I'm gonna, since you were correct, we're gonna go down with cash. I'm gonna put my $2,000 on this side.
Mm-hmm.
So now my cash balance is actually $18,000. If I were to take this to the trial balance, I would have my trial balance say cash $18,000 debit. But I'm not ready yet. So the other side of this transaction, when I purchase these supplies with cash, is supplies. Now, I have zero supplies now, but how much do I want in supplies?
2,000.
I want 2,000. So if I want 2,000, do I increase or decrease my supply account?
Increase.
Increase.
100% accurate. So I'm going to increase my supply account by 2,000. So there's my $2,000. So my debit of 2,000 and I have a credit of 2,000. So my debits and credits are still balanced. But even if I was to go back and look at all of them, I have 22,000 versus 22,000. And you're gonna have that. They just keep going on and on and on and on. So my next transaction, and one of the other things that I think people have some difficulty in sometimes is recognizing the differences between accounts receivable and accounts payable. So what I do to make sure that I understand the difference is a receivable is my friend. That's what I like. I like for people to owe me money. Show me the money, okay? So receivable means that I need to receive some money from somebody. So anytime I do some consulting for someone, so I have consulting fees, or I sell a product, so I have product revenue. All of those are examples of revenue. People owe me money if they don't give me cash, so I'm using the accounts receivable account. If I owe somebody else money, so I purchased something for the business and I didn't have the cash at that time, or I just didn't want to give it to them, I'm going to use the payable account. So I have to pay someone else. Either I'm receiving or I'm paying. So AP, just remember, that's when you have to pay someone else. That's the one I don't like. I don't like to owe people. Okay? AP is a liability. And AR is an asset. Okay? And the reason why AR is an asset is because it's basically cash. You just don't have it right now. So it's still an asset. It's still something that is the value of what people owe you. So let's do an AR one now. So we're going to do fees earned. So in this example, I'm going to say that I did consulting for somebody for $7,000. Okay. So I'm going to label this one. And the good thing about these problems is they label all the T tables for you, so you never have to come up with your own name. It's always going to be in existence already. So I created fees earned. But I gotta change my signals. I mean my plus minus. So okay, so fees earned is a liability. No, I'm sorry, it's a revenue. Sorry, I made it up. It's a revenue. And the DC stays the same regardless, but it should be minus plus, not plus minus. So I'm gonna change these two. All right. So if they have not paid me yet, that means that I'm not going to be able to use the cash, and I'm going to have to use AR. AR really is like cash. It's the IOU, but basically the same thing as cash for real. AR, I'm gonna put my DC down because it's always debit on the right hand side, sorry, left hand side. And it's always credit on the right hand side. AR is an asset account, so I'm gonna make this a plus minus. Okay. See my AR? DC always plus minus, always for assets. What was our balance in AR before we started this transaction?
0.
Yep. And what do we want it to be?
Uh,
I ain't put it on there yet. It's 7,000.
oh,
That's my number for this one. I didn't write it down yet. Okay, so I want it to be 7,000. So am I going to increase my account or decrease my account?
Increase?
increase.
I'm going to increase it. The reason why a person would be tempted to say C, I mean say D, well, they wouldn't say D. They would bypass these two and they would look at these two. If you look at these two, it's going to throw you off. Because this does not help you determine whether or not you're going to increase or decrease an account. Okay? Don't look at these debit credits first. Always use the plus minuses to determine whether or not you're going to increase or decrease an account. So because they didn't owe, nobody owed us money before, and now people owe us money, we're going to make the account balance go from 0 to 7,000. Okay? So I have my $7,000 debit balance in AR. So then, like everything else, it has to be offset by something. If I wanted to cheat, I would say, oh, that's a debit, so it has to be a credit. I have to do a credit in order for my debit and my credits to balance. But even if I ask myself the same question that I ask on every single transaction, do I want my account balance to increase or do I want my account balance to decrease? So we had $0 sitting in fees earned before, and we wanted to go from 0 to 7,000 because we want to show that we made $7,000. We are going to increase our fees earned account, which makes sense because our debits, our credits, equal our debits. So now my accounts are still in balance. I have debits of 7, 20, and 2. I have credits of 7, 20, and wherever 2 is. I'm looking at it backwards. 2. I think that's
Right there.
Yep, and 2. Okay. So my formula is still in balance, AEL plus OE. Okay. Let's do one for accounts payable. Is AP, what type of account of these 6 categories up here, which one does AP fall into?
Liability.
So it is a liability. So is this a debit or is this a credit? I read your lips. I think you said debit. Okay. You okay with that, Beth?
Yeah.
This is the debit. You know why it's a debit? Because it's always a debit on the left-hand side. There's no like genius answer. It's not like, the super hard, difficult concept. It's literally always a debit on the left-hand side, always a credit on the right-hand side. So since this is a liability, I'm gonna leave it up there. Is this a plus or is this a minus?
Minus?
It is. Liabilities are always minus plus. It is what it is. All right. So this time, we're gonna buy some more supplies. All right. We're gonna spend. I swear my door just opened. Right. Right. Oh, okay. Nobody's gonna get hurt today. It's just my son. All right, so I don't know because I knew I left the door unlocked and then I just leave me alone. Okay, so I'm gonna purchase $6,000 worth of supplies. I'm gonna purchase $6,000 worth of supplies, but I'm gonna purchase $4,000 with cash and $2,000 on credit. Okay. So how many accounts are gonna be impacted?
3.
3. AP, cash. I'm looking for supplies, right?
Yep.
I say 6,000. Okay. So which one of those 3 accounts is going to be $6,000? Is it going to be cash, supplies, or AP? So just to make sure you heard it, Tanya, I'm going to purchase $6,000 worth of supplies on account. $2,000 is going to be AP, so I'm going to pay them later, and $4,000 I'm going to pay them in cash today. So which account is going to get the $6,000?
The supplies.
Supplies.
Supplies is going to get $6,000 because I really am getting $6,000 worth of supplies, right?
Yes, correct.
Now, how much did I say we're going to use in cash?
4,000.
4,000.
Okay, so we're going to do cash of $4,000. You know, I forgot that fast. Oh, I think I told y'all the answer. So I increased the supplies by 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do with cash? Am I increasing or decreasing?
Or decreasing.
We're going to decrease cash. So is it going to be a debit or a credit?
It's going to be
Credit.
debit.
It's going to be a credit.
Oh,
Remember,
negative.
yep, for assets, credit is on the minus side.
Yeah.
So we're going to
That's
do,
why I keep getting confused.
that's
Because I'm
why
thinking money.
lesson. Our biggest lesson in accounting is take your whole mental when it comes to money and credits and debits and toss it out the window.
Mm-mm.
It will come. You will fail. My first accounting class, I got an F in. My very first accounting course, because I could not get. I'm a very I'm like very logical. So what I know is what I know, and I could not remove that concept. And I worked at a bank. I worked at a bank before I went to school. So I worked in that atmosphere from like the minute I graduated from high school and all through college, I worked at a bank. And it was very difficult for me to switch my mind to remove the whole concept of credits and debits. The teacher would tell me it didn't go together. And I didn't care because I thought that he was crazy because everybody knows that credits and debits go with money. But in
if you subtract 2,000 from 6,000, you're gonna get 4,000 all day.
all day. So we're gonna do the $4,000 as a credit
Is it correct? To cash.
cash. So we're gonna subtract cash
Mm-hmm.
of $4,000 because we're gonna use it to purchase those supplies. So I have cash as a credit of 4,000. I have supplies as a debit of 6,000. So as a default, we could guess that we're gonna do a credit of 2,000 here. So that 4 plus that 2.
Two credits.
Yep.
2 credits equal a debit. The total debit. Got it.
All right. Our AP balance went from $0 to $2,000. So before today, we didn't owe anybody anything. And after we brought those supplies home, we went from $0 to $2,000. And it's a credit. But really, what's important is we increase the account. So always go by these two first. This, it is what it is. In a transaction, you can have 2 debits. You can have 2, no, you can't have 2 debits. You can have 2 pluses. You can have 2 increases. Like when we purchase supplies, both of those accounts increase, right? Supply.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lie because cash goes down. Hold on. Let me give you one. Let me think about that. There is a situation where both accounts can go up. Oh, I can't think of one right now, but I did one the other day. But you can have two pluses, you can have two minuses, you can have a plus and a minus, but you always got to have one debit, one credit. That always has to be equal.
About.
They got to balance. That's a rule. Okay.
So that wasn't just in that situation because we had started out with 6,000 in supplies. That was a debit.
Yep.
So when we knew two credits in cash and AP.
$1,000 credit here and $2,000 credit here.
Yep.
But
So
what's
balance
weird
it
is
out.
one was a minus and one was a plus. And
Oh.
you can't have minus 2,000 and plus 2,000 because that's just 2,000, but that's not how accounting works.
Okay. All right. I
What
got you.
accounting says is my total debits is 6,000, my total credits is 6,000. My formula is still in balance.
Okay. I'm with you.
So
Yeah.
you cannot put real world rules into accounting because it messes it up. And
I know.
we know that plus 2 minus 4 is 2. But in accounting, it's 6.
I'm with you.
Okay.
Yep.
If we were to do the formula for this, we will see why, right? So asset is cash and supplies, and the liability is
AP.
the 2. So it's really minus 4 plus 6 equals 2. Right? Minus 4 plus 6 equals 2 because these are both assets. So if you do it that way, then your numbers really do match. And that's actually what they're doing.
Okay. All right.
Okay? Because this is not this ain't the finale.
Right.
This is just one of the steps to get to the finale. The finale is A equals L plus OE. So A minus 4 plus 6 is positive 2 equals L positive 2 plus OE, which is 0 right now, assuming that this is the only transaction.
Okay.
Okay. On the T table, that is not what it looks like. So you can't do that on the T table. T table, you just got to look at the plus minuses. Remember, these 3 are plus minus. These 3 are minus pluses.
What are the top 3 again? I missed that.
D for drawing. E for expenses. That actually does say expenses, although it's probably missing some letters and keystrokes and stuff. And then that says that.
Okay.
So DEA, drawing, expenses, assets. CLR, capital, liabilities, revenue. These are your 6 babies. In accounting, if it does not go into one of these 6, it's just not even possible. It got to go into one of these 6. So as long as
drawing, expenses, and assets is at the top.
Yep. These are all plus minuses. Plus minus, plus minus, plus minus. Debit credit, debit credit, debit credit, debit credit, debit credit, debit credit. There's never a situation where the credit goes first.
Got it.
When you do the homework assignment and you're doing all of those different transactions, start here. Start there. Start here. Make sure on every last transaction, your debit or credit. It's easy to make a mistake. So you have to check on every single one. Do my debit. That's my debit. Match my credit. And the reason why it's so important in chapter 2 is because you guys start working. I know you. Right. I know you're not eating downstairs. Right. Your debits must always equal your credits. I think that's it. So go back, and I posted a tutorial